And welcome to the Unity of Livonia, A Course in Miracles study group. It is Tuesday, June 16th, and I'm happy you folks are all here. I don't know, we may find we needed to bring the Tylenol tonight as we continue our journey through the Course in Miracles supplement called Psychotherapy. And I was just sharing with those that were here before we started recording that this was a tough session for me last week, the psychotherapy reading. And I don't know, maybe I hadn't been feeling well as I shared a few days before. So maybe it was my outlook, but I'm hoping to do better with it tonight. And yet, maybe before we start, let me just ask your impressions of psychotherapy. And does it make any sense to you so far in terms of we did the introduction, we're in section 2 now called the process of psychotherapy. And we looked at a section called the place of religion in psychotherapy. Uh, do you, what are your comments so far? Like, one valid comment is, I don't remember anything we read, but
I usually don't remember anything we read, but this time I have a better excuse. I wasn't there for the last section, the place of religion in psychotherapy.
okay, all right, all right, all right.
So if
Um,
someone could fill me in, that'd be great.
well, here, then why don't we go ahead and kind of peruse, open the book. Let's go to maybe let's just do from the beginning. Look at page 4, and that is where number 2 starts. The first section was called The Purpose of Psychotherapy, and it said the purpose of psychotherapy is to remove the blocks to truth. Okay.
Mhm.
And then it went on to talk about the process of psychotherapy on page 4. And then 5, the limits of psychotherapy. And then D, we got to the place of religion in psychotherapy. But I'm convinced that the first thing I need to do to go through this section honestly is to let go of every notion of what I thought psychotherapy was before. When it talks about the purpose of psychotherapy is to remove the blocks to truth, that's in total misalignment with what I thought psychotherapy was. Do you follow me or no?
I'm
What
with
is your thought about it that's
I
different?
thought psychotherapy was someplace you went when you were having a an emotional mental problem and got some help with resolving your little old petty problem.
you. Mhm.
It
Yes.
seems that the goal of psychotherapy is much loftier. Wouldn't
Yeah.
you agree?
Yes.
Okay, psychotherapy is to remove the blocks to truth, not to help you solve the problem you think you're dealing with.
And it's also to remove my blocks, not to help me fix somebody else, which is why I always thought
Yeah,
psychotherapy
yeah.
was about.
And,
Yeah.
and also your blocks are probably why you're having the issue to
Yeah.
begin with. So
Yes.
it's not it's
Yes.
not it's not the issue, it's the block that's there.
Yes.
The issue
So,
created the block, and the psychotherapy is to remove the block,
Block.
not to fix the issue.
okay. So the issue is a subset. It's not the thing. It's a
Right.
symptom of the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
The whole practice done properly according to A Course in Miracles is at a whole different level than most people would think it is. And let me go back to what Dee said. Important point. It is a learning experience not only for the patient, but who else?
The
Yeah.
therapist.
The therapist.
That's not, I had no idea that's what psychotherapy was. Do you think psychotherapists think they do psychotherapy to learn?
Oh,
I
They
think,
mine
think
does.
it's to, go
yeah,
comments?
I was just going to say mine does.
Yes. Yes, and you've spoken of that therapist before. So I think that's great. They got the big understanding and the big picture, which I think is rather uncommon in the everyday profession of psychotherapy.
And
So, was there a comment here?
And I was going to say, well, the psychotherapists that I know have psychotherapists so they can understand what goes on in their sessions because
No.
things come up in their sessions that will touch something in them. So they then need to resolve their own blocks.
Yes. And so that's in the right direction. I've seen documentaries or series on TV where the therapists go to their own therapist.
Mhm.
And yet, even that activity, while it's in the right direction, does not necessarily send them to the Holy Spirit for guidance and counsel.
Right.
Maybe they ask other professionals in the field, but even then, you don't see this holy relationship that the Course wants to offer. So I'll just say I've been through this once before, all of the supplements, so have you. At least we just, I think, did it once. But again, it's blowing my mind to get off my normal paradigm of what psychotherapy is and just forget about that for a while we explore this other consideration of what psychotherapy is. Psychotherapy is not an end to itself. It can never be, but it can point in the right direction.
Yeah. I was going to say it opens pathways for you.
Yes. And that's as much as it can do ideally, but it's more pointing in a direction for you. Look at section 1 on page 5.
Um, t
It's
do, can you tell it other descriptions than a page number? I have the little booklet of.
sure, sure. We
Section.
are in a section called The Limits on Psychotherapy.
Okay, I'm there.
It says, yet the ideal outcome is rarely achieved. Therapy begins with the realization that healing is of the mind, and in psychotherapy, those have come together who already believe this. It may be they will not get much further, for no one learns beyond his own readiness. So, if the purpose of psychotherapy is to remove the blocks to truth, maybe it's just one encounter on your journey to remove the blocks to truth. Maybe it's a little help along the way on your journey, and you're still on a journey even after that. What I'm trying to say, in the limits of psychotherapy, I think Jesus is saying that this is not a solution. Ultimately, the only solution is salvation for everyone. Go
I
ahead, Dee.
think
I'm
I'm not
watching
so sure.
faces.
I think it is a solution by turning to God for everything.
Okay,
That's the only solution. That is salvation.
okay. What if you go through psychotherapy and you turn to God in this particular situation,
No,
and
it's not.
God, and it helps you through it?
It's not for a particular situation. It's for your entire life to
Yes,
turn to
but
God.
that is where the difficulty comes in, because you have these intruders. Look at paragraph 2. And you see in sentence 4 the word resistance. So maybe you accept that solution as we have, right? And yet our challenge becomes to choose this solution in every situation. We set our minds to it, maybe in our psychotherapy sessions. But then we actually have to do it and walk the walk on a day-to-day basis, not just through that situation that brought us to the therapist, but in all situations beyond that. What we learned, what we were awakened to, we have to apply those choices, and we have to apply forgiveness in order to demonstrate that we're accepting our new choices. So, psychotherapy has a role to play, and it's a lofty role indeed. It's a way to contribute to the salvation of the world. Let's see if you'll see some language that helps us to understand that as we go along. I was looking for a few things, but I don't see them here. How am I doing so far with this? All I'm trying to do is to get us up to the place of religion in psychotherapy. Confused? Let's go into the place of religion in psychotherapy.
Okay.
To be a teacher of God, it is not necessarily necessary to be religious or even to believe in God to any recognizable extent. It is necessary, however, to teach forgiveness rather than condemnation. And then skip to sentence 5. Relationships are still the temple of the Holy Spirit, and they will be made perfect in time and restored to eternity. So Jesus goes on in the next few paragraphs to say to say formal religion has no place in psychotherapy. In fact, formal religion has no place in religion either. What does he mean by a statement like that?
Mhm.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
formal religion is the dogma,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and it's not about those rules or regulations.
you know, you take something that has a certain essence and you start adding stuff that don't go with it, like uh,
So,
a structure to it and all of that. There was a Kathleen, was
well,
that?
I was just going to say it's man-made, not spirit-made.
You know, you can see when man puts his egoic hands on something that is not egoic. When man tries to make it into his image, for what purpose? I'm asking.
To control the masses.
Any purpose other than love or letting it be truly what it is, you can't mold this to fit your needs, your, yeah, control, your hidden agendas. And that's what men do to stuff predominantly, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
And no less so than religion. You take something that's offered to everyone and you put a hierarchy on it. You establish the priests and the popes and the the levels. That diminishes what that is about. If it's all is one, how can it have steps? Dogma, ritual. If you do this, you'll get there. If you do that, you won't get there. Rules. So that's to me why Jesus is saying so far the place of religion in psychotherapy, formal religion has no place in psychotherapy. At their highest, psychotherapy and religion are the same. Um, oh boy, I thought I saw that somewhere.
Yeah. Number sentence 5 in paragraph 2.
Oh, thank you. At the highest levels, they become one. Neither, here, let me get your comments. Neither is truth itself, but both can lead to truth. What does he mean by that? What's when he says both? What's both?
Religion and psychotherapy.
So neither is truth itself, but both religion and psychotherapy can lead to truth.
Well, if we don't take things literally and see the metaphysical meaning behind everything, they are saying the same thing then.
Okay. So these are pathways. Remember, there are many roads to the same destination. One of the roads is called religion. One of the roads is called psychotherapy. One of the roads is meditation. One of the roads is forgiveness. These are all ways to get to the goal at which all of the past pathways dissolve because all of it was an illusion. The most that these can be is helpful. How are we doing?
Yeah, so the sameness in them is in the content, and we get fooled by the form because all the forms are all different.
Say that, excuse me, Sue just came in. I'll get right back to you. Hi, Sue. Long
Hi.
time no
Oh,
see. Thank you for coming to join us tonight.
Oh, you're welcome. How are you doing?
I am doing just fine. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Have you welcome? I know you're running late a lot of times, no problem there. Let me quickly tell you where we are, okay? We are in the book, the supplement called Psychotherapy.
Oh, I don't have that book.
Okay, so why don't you listen? You know, you've heard of psychotherapy and the Song of Prayer? No?
Oh, yeah. And I have a background too.
All right. So you hopefully you can get the supplements for next time. But that's where we are. We're in a section in psychotherapy called the place of religion in psychotherapy. And we were just dealing with a sentence that said, at the highest levels, religion and psychotherapy become one. But then the next sentence says, neither is truth itself, but both can lead to truth. And we were just discussing that sentence, Sue. It says, neither is truth itself, but both can lead to truth. And so my illustrious colleagues here were commenting on that sentence. Do you remember who spoke last or what was being said about it?
I spoke last, and I have no clue what I was saying.
Okay. So what we're saying is there are many roads to
Yes.
salvation. All the roads must prove illusory in the end. Yes, no,
They
Yes.
point to the truth.
because they are only mechanisms to get you to where you let all of this go. The
Mhm.
world is an illusion. When you understand that, when you start understanding that the world is not true. However, it's not just an illusion, it's been transformed into an educational illusion. What was your problem has been alchemically on Monday nights. Remember in the Kabbalion, we're going to talk about alchemy. And the traditional view is changing lead to gold. But the original alchemists knew how to transform mental states. And so that is what the illusion that we did in rebellion. Remember the tiny mad idea has been turned on its head into our way home. So engage with your experiences. They have been repurposed as your pathway home. When you learn to forgive what you used to condemn, yes, you with me?
Mhm.
That is the pathway to the awakening. When you awaken, the pathway was illusory. First of all, boy, I'm going deep. There is nothing for you to learn. The need for learning comes to blocks from remembering what you are. What you are is, what's the word for all knowing?
Omniscient.
Okay. What I am is omniscient. But I think I have to learn something. So if you feel you have to learn something, how about I have you learn that you have no need to learn? I'm going to use learning as the pathway that will end up showing you learning is an illusion. But you'll say, thank God for that illusion. The old illusion, the tiny mad idea, that was a disaster. But what the Holy Spirit has done to the illusion and turned it into a teaching tool is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, to you, to all of us. You want to see something amazing? Now you're in the realm of what's amazing. Now you're in the realm of what's truly worthy to be praised. What but something holy could take the mess I made and turn it into a jewel?
With
Yep.
with love, without guilt.
Yep.
What is the definition of psychotherapy according to the course?
The purpose of psychotherapy is to remove the blocks to truth. The purpose of psychotherapy is not really to help you out of a particular situation. It's to teach you to forgive the situation and in your forgiveness, offer compassion instead for it.
Doesn't forgiveness help you to understand and get out of a situation? For
Absolutely.
example, for
Go ahead.
example, when I hate to bring up Al, but when Al became so ill from negligence, um, the first thing he said to me, both of us being a part of Unity, said, Susie, we have to forgive or we will ruin the rest of our lives, which I obviously agreed with. And we took out all our books and all our techniques and we forgave. We worked to forgive. And that whole 7.5 years, many of the times, even though I wouldn't wish it on anybody, were absolutely beautiful.
And that's unfathomable to the logical mind. But it is possible to get above that kind of mind, or even to let that mind go and take a mind that can see. I'm thinking, is it number 13? It's in the, whew, number 13, is that in the manual for teachers? It says, what is a miracle? It says, the miracle looks on devastation and reminds the mind that what it's seeing is not real. And just that little space between you being in it and you being the observer of it gives you a level of peace and reason that you couldn't have in the madness of that moment. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. And to move beyond the mind is to forgive the mind.
That's beautiful. Uh, what's beyond the mind? You said to move beyond the mind.
Mhm.
Whose mind?
To move beyond the earth plane and rise into the oneness.
All right. So, what's in the oneness? Is
The
there an
one
intelligence there?
there isn't a word that can describe the oneness. It's part of just being.
Is
And
it
there are no
intelligent though?
no, because there's no words. So there's nothing. There's for me, my understanding is it's nondescript, and once you start to describe it, you bring it yourself back into the earth plane. It's a concept that is felt throughout your whole being, and it's just being.
Where I'm headed with this is if I give up my mind, there is a mind, an intelligent mind of
Oh,
which I am a part.
right. That's which I'm referring to as the oneness.
That's what I'm saying. The oneness is intelligent. Now, maybe that is not an apt description of it. Maybe there are really no words to describe it. But what I'm trying to say is I'll make better decisions if I give up now as my own decision maker. Let me say that again. I will make better decisions if Jim does not use Jim's mind to make them. Well, what am I going to use? Don't use Jim's mind and you'll see what I'm talking about. You don't have to find this, you have to remove the blocks to it. Well, what was the block, Jim? It's crazy, right? Of course, crazy people would say it's crazy. Right? Did we ever get to where we start our reading? Sue, how'd I do? The purpose of psychotherapy is not to deal with what the two of you think it is. It's to deal with something much larger, and that is a way to participate in removing the blocks to truth. Psychotherapy is a path, religion is a path, spirituality is a path, loving kindness is a path, music is a path, art is a path. There are many roads to the same place. The road is not the destination, but the road is a direction toward it. The limits of psychotherapy are the same as the limits on all of our endeavors. They're not going to get it all done, but it's going to be a lot of little lights being lit in a lot of different ways. It's a big plan, the plan of salvation. Psychotherapy is a part of the plan. How are we doing here? You ready to read some?
Mhm.
All right, let's see. Who does not want to read?
Joan does not want to read.
Who else does not want to read?
Hilda doesn't.
All right. Everybody else is a reader. Sherilyn is number one. Kathleen is two. Ron is three. Dee is four. And Sue is, no, Sue,
No,
you
I
can't
don't
read.
have the book.
Yeah. All right. Sue, if you have any trouble, need some help getting those pamphlets, get in touch with me. I'll help as best I can.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So, Sherilyn, we are on page 7, paragraph 5, right at the top, where it says
Okay.
D. D, do you see it? The
No, I don't
place,
need, I can't do the page. You got to tell me.
the place of religion in
Got it.
psychotherapy, the
Got it.
fifth paragraph.
Got it.
All right.
The fifth paragraph?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
different
okay.
teaching.
Okay.
Are we
You
ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Different teaching aids appeal to different people. Some forms of religion have nothing to do with God, and some forms of psychotherapy have nothing to do with healing. Yet, if pupil and teacher join in sharing one goal, God will enter into their relationship because he has been invited to come in. In the same way, a union of purpose between patient and therapist restores the place of God through ascendance, first through Christ's vision, and then through the memory of God himself. The process of psychotherapy is the return to sanity. Teacher and pupil, therapist and patient are all insane, or they would not be here. Together, they can find a pathway out, for no one will find sanity alone.
Wow. Thank you, Sherilyn.
You're welcome.
Let's do one more, please, and then we can talk some more. Kathleen is next.
Sure. If healing is an invitation to God to enter into his kingdom, what difference does it make how the invitation is written? Does the paper matter, or the ink, or the pen? Or is it he who writes that gives the invitation? God comes to those who would restore his world, for they have found the way to call to him. If any two are joined, he must be there. It does not matter what their purpose is, but they must share wholly to succeed. It is impossible to share a goal not blessed by Christ, for what is unseen through his eyes is too fragmented to be meaningful.
Thanks, Kathleen. Now we can go back. Paragraph 5. What are your comments? What caught your eye in paragraph 5?
Returning to sanity. So it's taking wherever we are and returning us to sanity. I like that.
And where is that precisely in 5? What?
Paragraph 5, number 5.
All right. Let me just. Why am I having trouble reading the numbers here? Okay, the process of psychotherapy is the return to sanity. Uh, Tell me to say that again, Ron. Explain it.
I don't know if I can explain it, but
Why did it appeal to you then?
because sanity, returning to sanity means that we're insane and we want to return to being
Yeah.
sane.
Yeah. And remember, he keeps saying, or said at least once, you're insane or you wouldn't be here, something like that.
Mhm.
So these are all ways to answer prayer. What is our prayer? What is the perennial question that all humans have? There are two, really. What
Whatever.
am I and
Why
why
am
am
I
I here?
here?
Whether we say it verbally or consciously, the biggest question in all of our minds is once, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and once we satisfy those basic survivorship needs, and we have our bellies full and all of that, then for our species, the next endeavor is, what the hell is this? What is it? What does it mean? What is my role? How'd I get here? Who invented this? Right? Right?
Yep.
Right.
Isn't that an invitation for an answer? It's almost like a prayer we utter constantly. I'm thinking lesson 358, it says, no call to God can be unheard nor left unanswered. And I remember in the book of Exodus where something have have you not heard my people's cry? Moses says to God at the burning bush. And God responds, yes, I have heard their cry, and they'll be saved. So here we are again. All this is an answer to our questions. What am I? I am as God created me. Why am I here? To learn that that is true and that what I was taught is false. That's helpful or no?
Yeah, it sounds like the exact same thing as the entire introduction to the course. It's not to teach us love, but to remove all the blocks to love's presence. It's the same thing. It's saying all the blocks.
So every day you can see God keeping promises. You say, well, it's painful how God keeps promises. No, it's not. It's all happening in a dream. What safer place could there be to learn the lessons of love? To see what happens when you love and see what happens when you don't. When you don't, it can be kind of bumpy. Fortunately, it's only appearing to be bumpy, isn't it? Because it's all a dream. Well, what's the purpose of the dream? Well, you made the dream for evil. I transformed the dream for good. Is that mental stuff, or now we're back to mentalism and our Monday night adventures through the Kabbalion, you see? Does it all ring true together? Some of you, most of you are here on Mondays. I know we just got started, but this whole thing is compelling because it rings true and it's corroborated by a lot of other spiritual, high level spiritual treaties and
Yeah.
spiritual masters.
And
What
if you bring it right down to basics, it doesn't matter what the process is because it all comes to the same outcome.
precisely? Which is in, thank you, Kathleen. This is reiterated in paragraph 6. If healing is an invitation to God to enter into his kingdom, what difference does it make how the invitation is written?
Hmm.
You may have received your invitation through Judaism. You may have received your invitation through um, uh, loving kindness and compassion, or through the Buddhist tradition. Maybe yours was through a Hindu orientation. What difference does it make
I,
how
I,
the invitation was written?
yeah, I just on paragraph 5, the first, let's see, the first, the different teaching aids appeal to different people. Some forms of religion have nothing to do with God, and some forms of psychotherapy have nothing to do with healing. Yet if the pupil and the teacher join in sharing one goal, God will enter into their relationship because he has been invited to come in. And I have always said psychotherapy or anything else is like buying a pair of shoes. You shop around until you find one that fits, and that's exactly what this is saying. People need to find what fits for them to open their awareness to removing blocks.
And that unified goal is
Mhm.
the invitation.
Mhm.
So you see, the invitation gets offered in many, 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 everywhere, all
Mhm.
the time.
Mhm.
When two or more are joined, I am with them also. It is when you come together with you in love, with a connection, that is the place where I'm here and ready to teach and help you move forward. You cannot find salvation by yourself. Why? Because you're not by yourself.
Yeah.
See, we don't come together and just shoot the breeze, do we? Yeah. I hope you find it valuable. Other comments? Who's our next reader? Ron? No. Did we do Kathleen yet?
Yes.
Yes, I did 6, so we're on 7.
Yeah, Ron, we're on 7, sir.
Okay. As true religion heals, so must true psychotherapy be religious. But both have many forms because no good teacher uses one approach to every pupil. On the contrary, he listens patiently to each one and lets him formulate his own curriculum, not the curriculum's goal, but how he can best reach the aim it sets for him. Perhaps the teacher does not think of God as part of teaching. Perhaps the psychologist does not understand that healing comes from God. They can succeed where many who believe they have found God will fail.
Thanks. D, do paragraph 8 for us, please.
Why must the teacher do the What must the teacher do to ensure learning? What must the therapist do to bring healing about? Only one thing. The same requirement salvation asks of everyone. Each one must share one goal with someone else, and in so doing lose all sense of separate interests. Only by doing this is it possible to transcend the narrow boundaries the ego would impose upon the self. Only by doing this can teacher and pupil, therapist and patient, you and I, accept atonement and learn to give it as it was received.
Man, what's the atonement? I used to know that.
The correction of errors in thinking.
Woo, thank you, Joe. It's been a long time. Thank you. So, you have to accept the atonement. Comments 7 and 8. Let's just go there. Paragraph 7, sentence 3. On the contrary, he listens patiently to each one and lets him formulate his own curriculum, not the curriculum's goal, but how he can best reach the aim it sets for him. Uh, who is he?
God.
But it's a small h.
Mm-mm. Holy Spirit.
Well, that would be a capital H.
Yes.
It's a student,
It's
Okay.
patient.
students.
Or, yeah, it's either got to be the therapist or the
Student.
student. On the contrary, the therapist listens patiently to each one and lets the patient formulate his own curriculum. Not the curriculum's goal, but how the patient can best reach the aim it sets forth for him. How does that read to you, or do I have it wrong? On the contrary, the therapist listens patiently to each one and lets the patient formulate his own curriculum. Does that make sense, or do I have it wrong?
No, it makes sense because it's one of the techniques of therapy.
Okay. About formulating their own curriculum?
Yeah.
What is a curriculum?
Their own thoughts as to what's happening and the solution.
Okay, I'm going to offer this because we use it quite often. A curriculum is a course of study. How does that fit,
Kind of
Sue?
like that. If you have a solution, that's a course of study.
Okay,
How
all
you're
right.
going to achieve whatever.
Yeah. So the the idea is to work with your patient to let them help to develop their own curriculum. And I would think that by the patient developing their own curriculum, they'd be more likely to try and achieve it. What are your thoughts there?
I was going to say which allows the patient, the therapist, whoever, to buy into,
Mm-hmm.
to invest into the process.
So the patient is making the offer of how they think they can do better.
No, I think it's how they can process what they're processing. You can't tell someone what they feel. You can't tell someone how to feel it, but you can allow them to process so it evolves.
I see.
If
I
that makes
got you.
that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Other comments on 7? How about paragraph 8? Any comments there from you guys? Sentence 6. Only by doing this can teacher and pupil, therapist and patient, you and I accept the correction of errors in thinking and learn to give it the atonement as it was received. What's it? Only by doing this, I'm sorry, what is this? Only by doing this can teacher and pupil. Do you see where I'm reading?
Yeah, it's stated in in sentence 4. Each one must share one goal with someone else.
Okay.
It's sharing that one goal.
So, am I hearing this correctly? Every time we share something with someone else, we're moving toward awakening.
I don't get it.
Okay,
I
that's
mean,
why
unless
we're
you
here.
can't, if what if I share in the illusion that they're a victim? That's not going to lead to healing.
Did it qualify? It says each one must share one goal. Is that a shared goal? One of conflict or one of inequality? One of criticism, one of condemnation, one of attack? Is that sharing?
It may not be sharing the same goal.
Certainly, the one receiving the attack might not share your viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the patient and the therapist. What if they're in agreement that you've been a victim?
I'm not so sure, to be honest. I mean, I see where you're going, D, and I think it's a very valid question. But what I would say is sharing a goal out of mutual, let's start with love for one another, mutual respect, start sharing the goal with a namaste attitude.
But does it say that there? What
Well,
says a shared?
I think what needs more clarification is the word, what does it mean to share? So I don't know. And I can understand ambivalence here. Maybe I'm misstating. Comments from the rest of you about sharing. What is sharing? Is that when you kick somebody?
Well, a lot of people get together because they have the same enemy. That's not sharing a common goal.
Yeah. Maybe the common goal is to defend ourselves. I don't know.
I
I'm
don't.
gonna back off from that
You
one.
can take that from a positive stance or a negative stance. D
Yeah,
is right. There are people who have a common goal of hate.
Right.
They belong to a group, and to them, this is very justified, very real, and they want to know what they can do to those horrible people they
hmm
hate.
Right. So
hmm
that's not healing. That's not going to lead to
Well,
healing.
no, it's not healing, but that's their goal.
But that's saying to heal. What does a therapist do to bring about healing? And it says share a goal with someone else.
And I would think that from the therapist's point of view, it is going to start with compassion, a willingness to listen, and maybe a willingness to withhold advice and to gain information and to ask for guidance about what your response should be instead of sizing up the situation right away, right? Based on your education and training, diagnosing the patient, and then your therapy is based on your diagnosis.
I, I,
Um,
I
Go
think
ahead.
it can be, I think it can be as simple as mutual respect for one another.
Yeah, that's what I think they mean by sharing here. But Dee, you and Sue, you both raised valid points. I'm a little fuzzy on the definition of sharing because it could go, like you said,
Right.
like Sue, the most vivid example is seeing a country as an enemy and gathering allies against it. Are the allies sharing? Maybe for the wrong goal? I don't
Wrong goal, but the sharing. How do you think people are brainwashed? They're brainwashed by hearing the same thing over and over and over and over and
Okay.
over, and then it becomes an accepted fact and it becomes truth for some
Yeah,
people.
and they share it, and then the power of conviction increases because that is
Absolutely.
shared. So I can see what you mean. Thank you for offering. Uh,
I,
was it? Yeah. Before we leave, there was another comment.
well, I was just going to say the next, I guess is that sentence 5. Only by doing this is it possible to transcend the narrow boundaries of the ego. That would be the negative. What we're talking about in the negative would impose upon the self.
You're in paragraph 8 now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the numbers are small, so I think it's sentence
Yeah,
5
5. Yes. What is this?
is what they just said in what they just said in sentence 4. They're referring back to sentence 4.
All right.
Each one
Only,
must each
go
one
ahead.
must share one goal with someone else. And that's what
Ah,
and what they're saying. Only by doing this is it possible to transcend the narrow
yes.
boundaries the ego would impose upon the self.
But I think there's a little more in that sentence, Kathleen, that's key. Thank you for bringing it up. Everyone, in sentence 4, each one must share one goal with someone else, and in doing so, lose all sense of
Yeah,
separate
yeah,
interest. I think
exactly.
that's key, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, it is. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, boy, spirit's moving. I think we're helping to clarify.
I was
Let's
thinking,
move on, dudes. We got a lot more here. And yeah, let's do a little more and maybe take a quick break and see what we can finish. Our next reader according to my calculations, is D. We're on paragraph 9.
Communication is impossible
No, it's
alone.
communion.
Oh,
Communion.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
They're probably both impossible alone. But
Yeah.
That was very good.
communion is impossible alone. No one who stands apart can receive Christ's vision. It is held out to him, but he cannot hold out his hand to receive it. Let him be still and recognize his brother's need is his own. And let him then meet his brother's need as his, and see that they are met as one, for such they are. What is religion but an aid in helping him to see that this is so? And what is psychotherapy except a help in just the same direction? It is the goal that makes these processes the same, for they are one in purpose and must thus be one in means.
What does it mean they are one in purpose and must thus be one in means? You knew I picked that one, right? You want me to read it again and ask you? For they are one in purpose and must thus be one in means. What's the means? The purpose would be kind of the goal, and the means might be the process to achieving the goal.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it important that there be alignment between the purpose and the means? I've heard it said, by any means necessary, haven't you?
Right.
That's not
But
what this is saying.
I think here the implication would be that if you're, let me wait a minute. Where's my brain? Okay. Okay. No, I don't know. Okay. Okay. It says the process is the same, for they are one in purpose. The must thus be one in means. If you're not one in means, it means you're separate.
So, if the goal is love, what is the means to achieving it? Starts with a L.
No.
Is there any other way to achieve a goal of love? What other means is there? Say none.
None.
Okay, you can't do this by any means necessary. I think of Dr. King and the nonviolent movement,
Mm.
which was in line with the goal of equality and loving one another and namaste to everyone. That was the goal. And he used the method that represented the goal.
Yeah.
So if you want to find love, what must you be?
Loving.
That's why I brought that sentence up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
They need to be in alignment. Let's take a quick break. Just give your brain a chance to relax a little. I got about 5 minutes of music, and then we'll come back and finish up for this evening, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Everybody good?
That was very relaxing.
Yeah, we need a break. This stuff is dense. And yet it's quite possible. It's crazy stuff, but it's very consistent. It's like an entire thought system, a complete thought system, totally different from our thought system, but it appeals to our common sense. It doesn't seem to have snags in it. That's beautiful, man.
Mm.
What I'd like to do, what's your comment there? I think we lost Kathleen, hopefully momentarily. Was there something else? Then let's start this new section with Cheryl and White. It's Roman 3, the role of the psychotherapist.
Okay. The psychotherapist is a leader in the sense that he walks slightly ahead of the patient and helps him to avoid a few of the pitfalls along the road by seeing them first. Ideally, he is also a follower, for one should walk ahead of him to give him light to see. Without this one, both will merely stumble blindly on to nowhere. It is, however, impossible that this one be wholly absent if the goal is healing. He may, however, not be recognized, and so the little light that can be then accepted is all there is to light the way to truth.
And now we're at, did Kathleen come back? No, not yet. So our next reader is Ron for number 2.
Yes. Healing is limited by the limitations of the psychotherapist as it is limited by those of the patient. The aim of the process, therefore, is to transcend these limits. Neither can do this alone, but when they join, the potentiality for transcending all limitation has been given them. Now the extent of their success depends on how much of this potentiality they are willing to use. The willingness may come from either one at the beginning, and as the other shares it, it will grow. Progress becomes a matter of decision. It can reach almost to heaven or go no further than a step or two from hell.
Okay. Your comments on paragraph 1. The psychotherapist is a leader and a follower. Did you get that?
Mhm.
Yes.
Why? Why would the therapist be both a leader and a follower?
It seems to me that you have to have a question first before you can have an answer. So as a therapist, you kind of come out with whatever you think it might be, and so that you can then engage in a conversation that involves both of them.
Well, who's this one with the capital O that it talks about in paragraph 1? Who is that, Hilda?
Well, since it's capitalized, we assume that we're talking about the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. But
Okay.
it's the therapist who leads the conversation. Because if
With
I'm
whom?
walking into a therapist's office, I mean, the first thing would be to find out why are you here? You know, this kind. It's so.
Yeah. It says so in that way, the therapist is a leader,
Right,
leads the conversation with the patient.
right.
But in what sense is the psychotherapist a follower? Who does the psychotherapist follow?
Well, the psychotherapist then the patient will come out with whatever it is that ails him, that he is thinking about, that he wants help with. And then once the therapist knows what the issue is, then he can respond to that. But then
But
it has.
but help me understand why the therapist is a follower. Who does the therapist follow?
The Holy Spirit's cues.
That's the one with the capital O, right, Hilda?
Right,
Mhm.
right.
You said that was the Holy Spirit. So the psychotherapist leads the patient, but follows the Holy Spirit. Isn't that the sense in which the therapist is both a leader and a follower? Isn't
Yes.
that what they mean in paragraph 1?
I think so.
That's what I'm trying to get to. The essence of paragraph 1 says that the therapist is both a leader in terms of facilitating interaction with the patient, but the therapist is also a follower
Mhm.
in that the therapist follows the guidance of the Holy Spirit in those interactions, in his or her responses in the patient therapist environment.
He
Am I
also
doing
follows
okay? Yeah.
he also follows the client. The truth of the matter is the client is in control. Even though the client may not think so, the client is determining what's being shared, and the leader or the therapist may lead it to a particular solution, but the client is in control. And that's something I believe strongly. And I'll go back to Al. When I was on a team with Al, I was not the one controlling the situation at all. It was Al. It was always Al. Al determined what I do and how I do it. And you won't hear that from most people, but that's the reality of it as far as I'm concerned. And
Okay.
that's why it worked. And that's why we went everywhere, because he led and he knew it.
Who is leading now?
Who is leading our conversation?
Who would, yes. On what, where was Al getting the ideas for your conversations? Who
Oh,
was Al's guide?
his guide was God,
Who's in control then?
him and God. He determined whether he wanted to listen.
Yes, yes, I understand. But do you see how, even in your description, don't forget the third party?
Yeah,
Al gave you some wise counsel, even going through the difficulties he was appearing to experience. He still had reason and was able to give wise counsel that made this endeavor not nearly as difficult as it could have been.
I agree.
He got that counsel from the one with the capital O.
I agree with that too.
So there was that other party. And with all due respect, I understand what you're saying, but do you see that other party was involved?
Right.
Al followed Spirit's guidance getting through this thing.
He did. I agree.
All right, we're on the same page, huh? Uh, do me a favor, guys. Let's finish reading this section and we'll start closing out. Uh, Kathleen, oh, she never made it back. Let me read paragraph 3. It is quite possible for psychotherapy to seem to fail. It is even possible for the result to look like retrogression. But in the end, there must be some success. One asks for help, another hears and tries to answer in the form of help. This is the formula for salvation and must heal. Divided goals alone can interfere with perfect healing. One holy, egoless therapist could heal the world without a word, merely by being there. No one need see him or talk to him or even know of his existence. His simple capital P presence is enough to heal. The ideal therapist is one with Christ. But healing is a process, not a fact. Whoa. The therapist cannot progress without the patient, and the patient cannot be ready to receive the Christ, or he could not be sick. Okay. In a sense, the egoless psychotherapist is an abstraction that stands at the end of the process of healing, too advanced to believe in sickness and too near God to keep his feet on earth. Now he can help through those, now he can help through those in need of help. For thus he carries out the plan established for salvation. The psychotherapist becomes his patient, working through other patients to express his thoughts as he receives them from the mind of Christ. Okay, we're getting near the end, or I would have to have a Tylenol right now. Right now. Dee, you're looking pensive. What are your thoughts? We'll take a few comments and close out for the evening.
It's saying again that the psychotherapist is both the he receives his cues from the Holy Spirit for what the patient needs.
Yeah. Paragraph 4, sentence 2. But healing is a process, not a fact. Help me with that.
Well,
What
it's
is
an
healing?
ongoing thing.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily come to a very complete or full conclusion at
Okay,
the
but
time.
even ideally, even if it
Yeah,
does come to conclusion, what's the definition of healing? If y'all remember, it's been a while. The restoration of wholeness. I was whole, something happened, and now this part of my arm feels out of whack. Something's wrong, something's sick, something's not working right. What can I restore to do the wholeness of my entire body? But listen, why does it healing is the restoration of wholeness, but why does it say that healing is a process, not a fact?
Because we have to know the truth for ourselves. It can't just be told the truth. We've got to get it ourselves.
So if I am as God created me, I can't be sick. God doesn't make stuff like that.
That's the
follow?
fact.
Huh?
That's the fact. But it's a
Yes.
process.
Yes. But here we'll use the illusion of healing to help you remember that what you are cannot be sick. Is that amazing to use the problem as the solution itself? You believe you need to be healed, right?
Right?
Yes.
That's not true.
Right.
But we're going to meet you where you are. We're going to take what you believe and transform it, alchemize it, use an alchemical approach, and take the problem and turn it into the solution. You believe in healing? It is no such thing. There's no need for it in truth, but there's a need for it here, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll use that as a a road to salvation. Um, I'm not going to keep you good people any further. Uh, I hope you got something out of this, and I think the main thing that have paved the way for the rest of this is to put aside any notions you had about what psychotherapy is. Sue, I know that's going to be probably more difficult for you, but
No,
put it put it aside and then see how it aligns with what you're already doing. After we give it a full chance, I'd be interested in your comments as a professional that's here with us
well, very
tonight.
simply, I see them all fitting together.
All right, wonderful. So that's a pretty easy
Come up.
testimony that we can all have some faith in. She sees them all fitting together. Other final comments here?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you all here. Hilda, would you close us out and we'll let you find people get on with all your busy activities. I know how in demand each of you are. Hildegard, close us
Okay.
out, please.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. I am the light of God.
I am the
I am
light
the
of
light
God.
of God.
God.
I am the love of God.
I
I
am
I
the
am the
love
am
of
love
the
of
love
God.
of
God.
God.
I am the power of God.
I
I
am
I
am
the
the
am the
power of
power
power
of
God.
of
God.
God.
I am the presence of God.
I
I am
am
the
I
the
am the
presence
presence
of
of
presence of
God.
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 Therefore,
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 wherever I am,
wherever
wherever
I
I
wherever I
am,
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 God is,
God
God
is,
God
is,
is,
and all is well.
and
and
all
and
all
all
is
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 well.
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 There is nothing to fear.
There
There
is
is
There is
nothing
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 to
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 fear.
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 There is only love.
There is
There is
There is
only
only
love.
only
love.
love.
Namaste.
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 Namaste. Peace out. I love you guys. What else can I do? That's what I am. What you are too. See you next time, okay?
Love
Bye.
you
Good
all.
night.
Have
Have
a
a blessed
wonderful
week,
evening.
everybody.
Thank you. Good night.